Well, in World War II, they fought at a little bit longer ranges. They also had better guns than they had in World War One. In World War One, you wanted pure accuracy because you're fighting real close. You want to hit the parts you're going after. You're gonna be that close. You're also flying slow enough that if the plane that you're shooting at disintegrates in front of you, you can still climb out. Always climb out. Don't dive below the wreckage. That's that's counterintuitive to gravity. What's the 6.5? Well, this is in reference to the way the guns are fired. On the old Fokker Eindeckers, that's the very first pure fighter airplane. It would fire through the propeller arc. In later models, there was a few of them, like the Airacobra, for example. It had a 23 millimeter nose-mounted cannon. It literally went. It shot right through the center of the propeller shaft. Now on that one, it's firing basically forward. Now some pilots, what they wanted was a gun that was slightly inaccurate. The reason for that is because you're actually firing out of multiple guns in World War II. Between 6 and 8, either guns or cannons, and that's dependent upon the size of it. But we're talking about up to 4 cannons per wing. And what you would try to do in the 6.5, this is a split. It's kind of like the idea of getting a split in bowling. What you're trying to do is you're trying to make it so that not every bullet is hitting the exact same spot, because you've got 6 of them, and the other pilot, well, he might be able to go just a little bit faster than you thought, or a little slower. Your anticipation might be a little bit different. You might be off by just a little bit, and depending on the range, that little bit could be enough to make it a miss. So what they would do, instead of trying to make everything, and this is not how every pilot did it, of course. When you're working on your airplane, you have a mechanic, and it's his airplane. It's not the pilot's airplane, it's the mechanic's airplane. The pilot tells the mechanic what he wants, and the mechanic does it. That's his job. If there's something that the pilot asks for that assists him in his particular style of fighting, which includes the gunnery, that's really what the man's supposed to do. Now let's imagine you've got all of your guns. They're all 100% accurate. Every shot that comes at him is going to be accurate. At 100 yards, it's always going to hit the same spot, right? So when you go out there on the range and you lift up the tail a little bit, you jack it up so that you can actually fire straight forward at your target. You adjust a little bit based on the peeps. The peeps is a little, well, it's a sight, obviously. And what you would do is, if you would fire all of your bullets, all 8 guns, so that all of them hit the very center dot. Some of them are actually going to ricochet off of each other, by the way, which is pretty cool. It depends on the synchronization of the guns. But if you're off by just a little bit, that misses by a little bit. So what a lot of pilots did is they tried to make their guns so that they were off by no more than 6 inches and no less than 5 inches, which means that every gun that they fired, what they would do is they would measure it and make sure that the bullet hit 5 inches away from the target, between 5 and 6 inches away. And I'm not sure if they measured that from the inside of the strike or the outside. You know, when you've got something that's 23 millimeters, it's a pretty big round, and it's going to be pretty difficult to tell exactly. If it creates a hole that's bigger than an inch, it's going to be difficult to tell where exactly it needs to go. But the reason for that is because that little bit of a spread makes it more like a shotgun, a long-range shotgun. You're not peppering the one little dot, you're peppering an area. You're increasing it to, if your sights are perfect and you're shooting at an airplane that's got a 57-foot wingspan, and you're talking about each shot is 5 inches from center, and some of them might be 5 inches to the right, some of them might be 5 inches to the left. So you're talking about an area almost a foot wide. And anywhere on an airplane that you're going to hit from 200 yards away or 100 yards away, whatever you happen to set your sights for, when you're that far away from an airplane, it's difficult to pick a spot and hit it. The Red Baron would talk about how he would fly in and he would mark his target. His target was the pilot. If he shot the pilot, the plane went down. In World War II, you were lucky to hit the other plane. That's because of the extreme speeds and extreme distances. When you got a 50 caliber, it starts dropping pretty rapidly. You've also got wind resistance. I mean, you're going a pretty decent speed when you fire that bullet, and that makes it go out a little faster, but you're also talking about, well, you're not high enough to hit the jet stream back then, but you were pretty high. And I don't know, I was told a lot of different stuff that once I started getting into fighter planes and the different stuff that was in them, the different armaments, the different ways they were set up, the different tools, specialty tools that were required. Some of our American airplanes, they've got starters on them, on the jet planes. And we could start them, straight off the runway. But the Russians, a lot of theirs, especially at the beginning, like the MiG-15, you had to have an external starter that would start up the airplane, and then you would fly it off from there. When it comes to all that battlefield stuff, like the 6.5, that's all stuff that's fine and dandy for people who think about being warriors all the time. They want to be a fighter pilot. They want to shoot down the enemy. They want to But for most of us, I mean, that's the furthest thing from something that we're thinking about. Out here on the streets, people are thinking about food. We got a lot of veterans out here. They were in the military. When they got out of the military, they hit the streets and went, what the fuck? Is this really what I served for? Yes, it is, sir. Yes, it is. Do you need a blanket? Anyway, hopefully when my money gets here, I'll be able to hire someone to help me with the computer stuff. I've already spent thousands and thousands of dollars to get people to sit down and help me with it, but fuck it. We'll try it again. That's if I get paid. If not, I'm screwed. If I'm screwed, a lot of other people are screwed. That's just not cool, dude. Anyway, good to be with you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and no victim left behind.